we've got 60% of Aboriginal people in my hometown, and I'm the first one who actually has a proper business, a big business.
This week on Dirty Linen, we are checking in with interesting people with interesting stories from all over the place. And I am really excited to be heading to Brewarrina in northwestern New South Wales to chat to Trish Frail from Thulii Ngemba. I've got that wrong already, haven't I? Thulii Ngemba. Hi, Trish. How are you?
Thulii Ngemba.
Oh, my God.
I'm great.
Trish, thank you so much for coming along today to have a chat to us. I'd love you to tell me a little bit about Bree, as I know you call it up there, and about Thulii, oh my God.
Ngemba.
Thulii Ngemba, your cafe that you've only recently opened.
Bree's a small country town. We've got roughly around about 2,500 people within the Shire. The most amazing thing about Bree is we have the oldest man-made structure in the world, and that is our Biami Noongar fish traps. And they are just amazing. They're over 60,000 years old. When people come here, they go down to the river and they see the rocks and they think they're looking at the fish traps. No, they're not. They need to go down further, or better still, they need to come and do a tour with the Aboriginal Museum. So that's the one aspect of Bree with our culture. And the second aspect is now my cafe. So I had a little shop in my backyard, and I kept thinking, what am I going to do with it? And I knew I wanted to do something in regards to my culture. And I was thinking, I don't want to just do arts and crafts, because you can go anywhere and get, your arts and crafts. And I thought, out here in the West, basically anywhere outside of a metropolitan area, you don't get to eat traditional foods. And so that's why I thought, wow, I can do that. I can start up a little cafe and just do traditional foods, And so we now call it, native food with a twist. And the name of it is Thulii Ngemba. Thulii meaning Sangawena. Ngemba is our tribe. And the Sangawena is the totem of the tribe. So that's how I came up with that name.
I just love it. So Ngemba is one of the peoples that are in the country where you are. And so were the fish traps shared among different tribes? Because I just think, people talk about the pyramids and get excited about how old they are, but, this is just next level stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, pyramids weren't even in the embryo when we had the fish traps out. Our fish traps are over 60,000 years old, which is... that is old, and that is also our dreaming stories. We still talk about how Biami, our creator, came along and designed the fish traps to help the Ngemba people who were in famish at the time with not enough. It must have been a drought on, and so Biami came along. He saw the people sitting on the riverbank and he said, well, I will help you. And he designed the fish traps. And him and his two sons, they went away, they got the rocks, they brought them back and actually designed it. And so the fish traps are in actual fact like our very first refrigerator. We would hunt the fish into the traps, close them off, and whenever we wanted a fish, we would just go down and get the fish out of the refrigerator.
It sounds super fresh, and they're in their natural environment. It's incredible. What I mean, I know there's been, so many changes to the region and the environment since white settlers came in, including some damage to the dry stone weirs and the ponds. What is the state of the fish traps? Also, given that, the river has been, dammed and, there's all kinds of changes that have gone on there. What is actually the state of the fish traps at the moment?
The state of them... So I'll take one step back. The Ngemba people, we're the custodians of the fish traps. And so, it was our responsibility to look after the fish traps, and all the other tribes would be able to come in and they'd done it, during certain periods, because we had 4 different seasons. 6 different seasons, and so the tribes would come in relation to those seasons, and so when they'd go, we would have to come back in and we would have to fix those fish traps up, and especially after the floods, and so. And in every trap, it was a family's responsibility to look after that trap. Now, because of all the, removal of the children and all the removal of the rocks, a lot of people, when they first came to Bree, they were moving the rocks out of the fish traps and using them for their housing structures. So we, over the period of time in the last 200 years, we've lost a lot of that knowledge of what family is supposed to look after what trap. And so, so we have lost it. We are now working together and working with the council in trying to get it, because now the fish traps are they're under 4 different regulations, and that's state, federal, and local. So state, federal, local, yep. And so it's extremely hard to work out, how are we all going to work together, so.
It's so, the ignorance of people coming in and moving these stones without appreciating that incredible heritage and the purpose of them. I mean, it makes me feel really upset and sad just to think about, it's just the ignorance and I suppose that unwillingness to learn from the culture that was already working in harmony with that river. Yeah.
Well, considering the fact that they built a weir and they didn't need to build a weir because Brewarrina actually has one of the deepest waterways on the whole of this river. And so we don't need a weir. But they did not understand how Australian waterways worked. Everyone was still thinking of it being English waterways. So they built a weir and they put it right near the very beginning of the fish traps, and that itself has it's caused a lot of damage because now we don't have the water flows going through, which kept certain rocks in place. And,
So is it still possible to catch fish in the traps today?
Some people still do.
Wow.
Yeah, but, it's very selective and,
And what sort of fish would you be able to catch if indeed it was possible?
Look, our rivers have yellow belly, which is perch, cod, and catfish. Now, of course, we've got that horrible European carp, which has, again, made a lot of damage to our waterways. So, and I know a lot of people eat European carp. We don't. Yeah, we're locals. We eat our local fish.
Yep. Well, it's such an incredible, such an incredible heritage, and it's just really sad and disappointing that it's not in the same state that it was, but it's also great to know that people are working together to try to preserve it and improve it. And, I know that it's such a point of pride for the region. I just hope a lot more people can see it and appreciate it. And, I guess do whatever they can to help you and your communities, restore it.
Mm-hmm. And that's why there are quite a few members of of our community who are really, really concerned about the way the fish traps are and the way the water flow is. And we're working together, and hopefully, it might take another another generation before we can actually get to the next stage, but we're working towards it.
Great. So I'd love to learn more about the town and about the community, because Bree is a mostly Aboriginal town, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's 60% Aboriginal. So, yeah, and we're not just all Ngemba people, because we also had a mission out here where people from all the other tribes were brought in, and they had to stay. So when the mission closed down, by that time a lot of the people had lost their contacts with their own homelands, and so they've just stayed here in Bree.
Yeah, okay. And is the cafe there on the main street?
It's it's on a little side street, and it's straight off the main street. It's right on the corner where you have to turn to go to Walgett, or if you're coming from Walgett Way, you turn to go to Burke. So yeah, we're right on the main street of town.
And tell me about starting it. I mean, you said you had a shop in your backyard. What was in the shop?
Just all rubbish, basically. It hasn't been a shop for years. When we were renovating our house, we were living in it and then renovating our house. So, yeah, there hasn't been anything in it. And my previous partner, he kept saying, Trish, you need to open up a shop. And so I went away and I got some training done, but I didn't have the passion for it then, whereas now I've just got the passion. Like, it's just the most fantastic thing that I've ever done besides having my children. And, I just love it.
I love it. It's so great. What do you think it is that meant that now is the time that you've got the passion?
Because now I'm really interested in bush foods and medicinal medicines. And my yard, it's quite big. I'm also planning on setting up my yard for a tourist medicinal medicine garden.
Wow. So tell me about some of the dishes that you're serving there.
So we only have a few main dishes that we serve every day. And then other than that, every day we have a different special. And so our main dishes, like we have our steak sandwiches, and with the steak sandwiches you have a choice of what marinade do you want. So it'd be either strawberry gum, wattle seed, or bush tomato. So either one of those marinades you can have. Everything that we cook, we put a beautiful bush tomato relish on it. So, and the egg and bacon rolls are a really big hit, and with the bush tomato relish. We have lamb with salt bush and gravy. And then we have the most fantastic smoothies, kakadu plum and mango and banana smoothies, watermelon and Davison plum smoothies. Like all of our smoothies are just got everything in it.
Wow, it all sounds really great, and I can just imagine like the tartness of a Davidson plum in a smoothie. That sounds absolutely genius. I would definitely be up for one of those on the side of my meal. So it's a lot to open a cafe, and I guess one of the main issues in a lot of regional communities is employment. Have you been able to bring other people in to work with you?
Yes, I have. It's been so fantastic. I've got a couple of young girls who have never had a job before, would never thought that they would actually get a job, let alone in the hospitality industry. And so, I've got 4 staff members, and they are just so fantastic. And as I said, they're just learning, and they've never realised. First off, they didn't realise how busy it is in a cafe, and second off, like they just didn't realise that they would love it so much. And the third thing is like they are just continuously learning. They learn about the cafe industry. Then they learn about our native foods, and they'll say, "Oh, yeah, Nan used to do that," or so they have a little bit of knowledge about native foods, but like myself, like it's just been a real eye-opener, a really educational step in learning about our foods.
It's the reason that I heard about what you're doing out there is through your daughter Charlie Sue, who posted about Thulii Ngemba on Twitter, and obviously she's incredibly proud of you. But she talks about so many of the things that she's observed in your business, and just the fact that you're creating really healthy food for the community. Can you talk about some of the issues around health in your community?
I think we have a high number of diabetes in our community, and same as cancer, and same as heart problems. So, and obesity. And so, and myself too, I'm overweight. I've been losing a lot of weight since I've been working how I am working. But I've always been a very healthy eater. I just eat a lot. So I've stopped. I don't do any fried foods, any fried chips. I don't do them at all. A lot of people will come in and they'll ask for chips, and it's like, sorry, I don't do it. And for 2 reasons. One is I don't want to go down that road, and 2, I don't have a range hood on in my kitchen yet, so I've got to be very selective of what I'm cooking. So so I don't want to do fried foods. And the other thing is I'm very selective about what drinks I sell too. I really push the smoothies because they are such a healthy option. And all of our drinks, I only do Australian companies. So Coca-Cola's been knocking on my door, 3 times now, and it's like, sorry, I don't want you here. I do not want to sell Coke. You are rich enough by yourselves. Just don't need me. And more importantly, I don't need you, and my community doesn't need you.
Wow, I am really floored that they would come to you 3 times. That just, to me, that seems quite predatory in a way. Like, get out, guys, come on, move it along.
Yeah, well, they came to me before I even opened. I think it was just a couple of days, a week before I was about to open, and they came knocking on my house door. And they were saying, oh, we're just looking for the lady who owns the shop. It's like, yeah, well, that's me. And they said, oh, we were wondering whether you'd like, to sell some Coke. And it's like, no, I don't, and I'm not going to. And I said, and they said, oh, well, we can come back after you've opened. It's like, no, I don't want you to come back after I've opened. So they came back after I opened, and it's like, no, I'm not interested. And then they came back again, and at that time my daughter was there. I wasn't in the shop, and my daughter said, Mum's not here. You need to speak to her. And so when I got back, my daughter told me, and she says, oh, here they are, they're just pulling up again. And by the time I was pretty cranky. And I said, right, are we going out there? She said, no, Mum, leave it to me. I'll deal with it. I'll tell them, no, we don't want them. So, because I would have went out and told them in not too polite words.
I reckon they should have come in and bought a smoothie and just got out of the place.
Yeah, they should have.
So, Trish, one of the, I guess, really important issues when people are selling Indigenous ingredients is that the money stays in communities. You mentioned that there are 60% of the population of Bree is Aboriginal. Are many of the businesses owned by Aboriginal people?
I'm the only one.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm the only one. And then we've got the Aboriginal Museum, but that's a committee-run company. So it's not a for profit. So I'm the only one.
That's real. I'm actually really shocked and upset to hear that, but I'm also it just means you're just even more of a trailblazer and a legend, and just working so incredibly, doing such important work for the community. I mean, do you feel that part of it as well?
Well, no, because to me it was like, oh, I'm going to do this, so it's just get out and do it. And it's not until everybody else says it, and it's like, oh, okay then. So, I must be a bit of a trailblazer. So, yeah.
Well, it must be so inspiring for the people around you. And as you say, to those 2 staff, and I'm sure your other staff, the ones that haven't had a job before, I'm sure that you're showing them a pathway that perhaps they never imagined for themselves.
Well, that's exactly right, yeah. And look, some of the reasons why we don't go into our own businesses is because we don't understand economy. We understand our budgets, but that's a household budget. We don't understand the economy. And so that's where we all need training in, and myself included, because I don't understand it. All I know is that I wanted to open a shop, and so I went ahead and I done it. But, I still don't have that real crash hot idea about economy. Like, all my accounts, I can't do my accounts. My accountant, I had to go and get an accountant to do it all, because I don't know what the hell am I doing. but I'm going to be learning. And more importantly, my staff are watching me learn, so they are learning. So, and that's great. And then they've all got children, and so the knowledge that they're learning from me, it's going to go down to their children. So hopefully their children will start having a bit more of an understanding of economy.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much to love about what you're doing. You mentioned the training, in, like, I guess, business management and accountancy and all that sort of stuff. What do you think would actually help more people, more Aboriginal people start businesses? Is it that courses would come to communities, or is it just simply people seeing the pathway and sort of, stepping on it themselves? Can you see things that would help?
Yeah, seeing the pathways and stepping on it, like, all right, so we have a lot of people who, do the art and craft. I can use that industry as an example. So, as you know yourself, some of the art and craft that's out there is just magnificent. But we still, like, you get paid to do it, and it's like, you don't really have a good understanding of how are you going to use that payment, other than, going to the shop and buying what you want to buy, rather than looking at other ways of how you can best work on your business.
Yeah, sure. So as well as being a creator, it's like, well, how do I turn my skills and my creativity into my own business?
Yes, yeah. And that's only just my opinion, Maybe I've got it wrong, and maybe there's something else out there, but I don't know. Like I said, we've got 60% of Aboriginal people in my hometown, and I'm the first one who actually has a proper business, a big business.
Yeah.
Not just somebody who's doing small art and crafts, and good on them, they're fantastic. But, yeah, I'm just talking in a bigger area. Yeah. No, I think it's, really, it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. Trish, is there anything else that you want to say? No, other than, look, I'm just waiting for people to drop in and come and buy something. Yeah, come in and say hello. It's a fantastic shop. And as I said, we're learning as we go. I've never ever worked in the hospitality industry before. I haven't done a single thing. And so I'm still learning, and it's great getting feedback from people. It really is fantastic to receive feedback.
Yeah, well, what's the nearest big town? Like, how would we find our way to Brewarrina?
Yeah, Brewarrina is right in between Burke and Walgett. We're the little town right in between those two towns.
All right. Well, there's a lot of people who can't go overseas who are exploring Australia more. So I reckon we'll hopefully send some people to your doorstep. Trish, thank you so much. I've learnt so much in this conversation, not least how to say Thulii Ngemba, and I really apologise for my ignorance in pronunciation.
That's fine.
But, I think I'm so glad that I saw Charlie Sue's post on Twitter, and that you were willing to have a chat to us. I'm so inspired by what you're doing. I just think it's incredible, and I just wish you all the best.
Thank you very, very much.
Brilliant to have a chat. Thank you.
Thanks.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about. We spend a week thrashing around each issue, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta @dirtylinen podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This